So we're going to talk today about contracts, and eventually I'm going to get to rotate, but I'm going to talk about square right now, okay? There's a few things that we know about every function. When we grab a function, we know a few things. First of all, the color of the function tells you what the function is going to produce, or the range of the function, okay? If your function that you grab is purple, what is going to be the output? Say it again? An image. It's going to be an image of something, right? Okay, so color will always, the color of the function will determine the range. Okay? Now here's a really neat thing about when you have the actual function, the block itself. We know everything about their contracts. Contracts include three things: name, the domain, that's what it takes in, and then the range, that's what it produces, or its output. Okay? So, for square, what do you think the name of this function is? What do you think?
Square.
Square. All right, plain and simple. How many inputs or how many domains does square have? How many? Three. They're listed right here. Everybody see that? So on every single function, it lists the number of inputs that are required. We require a number for size, and actually if I had a blue marker, I would mark this as blue because we have to put in a blue number in here. Okay? Then style. Style is something you learn about, I believe, in lesson 3. They're called strings. And strings are always in quotes. Okay? So our style could be solid, it could be outlined. And then there's also like numbers that will go in for strings, and that's the percentage of solid. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Has everybody noticed that? So we don't have to have like 100%, that's like regular solid. We could do like 50% of what the purple color is or whatever. And you can do that, and it just changes the color just slightly. Okay, so that's what those numbers actually mean in the style. Then the third thing that goes in here is actually the color. And color is also a string, so it needs to be in quotations. We know that all string functions have quotations, and I believe they're green. Is that correct? Kind of a greenish color? Okay. So that's square. We can always tell the name of it, it's right on the function. We can tell the domain because it's whatever is inside right here. I know that it requires 3 inputs. If we put in 3 inputs, a number for size, a string for style, and a string for color, and we hit evaluate, every single time that function will produce a square of given size, style, and color. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, that's what the contract says. It's like a little handshake. You put in these 3 things, and I'll produce a square every single time. But you have to put in the 3 things. You have to put in a number for size, you have to put in a string for style, and a string for color. Okay? Now, rotate's a little bit different. And what some kids are doing for rotate is they start to realize, all right, I got to list all these inputs. So they list a number for degrees, and then they go a number for size, a string for style, and a string for color. But here's the purpose of rotate. We want to be able to rotate any image that's out there. Okay? Not just a square. We want to be able to rotate a triangle. We want to be able to rotate any polygon or any image function that we have. So we don't have to list the contracts of the image we're putting in. We just need some image. So rotate is the name of the function. It actually only has 2 inputs. It requires a blue number, and that's for the number of degrees that it's going to rotate. So like 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and it will actually rotate the image that we're going to put in. Then it also requires any image. Okay? So we're not just limited to a square image. It can be any image that we put in to this spot right here. Right now I put in square as an example because it's what's used in your program. Okay? Then, what is rotate going to produce? What is it going to make every single time? Yeah.
An image.
An image. See, I will guarantee you that rotate's function is purple because every purple function is an image. So that the actual function itself tells us everything about the contract. It tells us its name because it's located right there. We know the inputs because the inputs are always listed right here. There's two inputs, a number for degrees and any image that we want to put in. Then the actual color, and I'm just going to write that this is purple. The color of the function itself tells us what we're going to produce or what it's going to make. As long as we fill in rotate with a number and some image, it will always produce that image for us that is rotated at the number that we put in. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? So contracts are huge parts. You guys already know contracts for like addition. Addition, the name, is just plus. Its domain is that it requires two numbers, right? Number. Then what is it going to produce? A number. Same thing with subtraction. Subtraction is just a subtraction sign. That's the name. What does it take in? Number. What's it produce? A number. Everybody okay with that? So you know a bunch of contracts already, and eventually we're going to start listing. You're going to have a list in your Google Classroom. I'm just going to put a blank doc, and you're going to list the contracts for as many functions as you know. And then you'll kind of just walk around the room, and you'll get an idea. You're going to see what other people put down for contracts, and then you'll be able to add those contracts to your list. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? So the function itself tells you everything you know. Name, always write on the function. Domain is the number of inputs that we need to put in. Okay? In this one, it's 2. They're always listed in parentheses at the top of the function. Then the range is dependent on the color of the function. If it's blue, what's it going to produce? A number. If it's purple, it's going to produce an image. Everybody okay with that?